Delaney Metcalf, and I am a fourth-year medical student as well as a graduate student in the public health department. And I helped design this program. It's called Path2Green. This is an emotional resilience and overall well-being program for care partners of patients living with dementia. So we have 3 total sessions that will be done in June, July, and August at the monthly support group meeting. So we've already done 1 session in June. This was focused on using the emotional guidance scale, which I will show you in the next slide. So if you missed that first session, no worries. This video should give you a good review of everything that we covered, and then you'll be able to join us at the next session next week. So this program, we say it's well-being in the moment on demand, meaning that in small moments of frustration and stress, we want to give you a couple tools and a couple skills that you can use in order to be able to reset and handle the situation a little bit better. We also say that it's aiming for a sense of satisfaction in our life, so we aren't trying to make it where you are happy every moment of every day, because that's simply, that's not human. So what we want to do is to be able to just get you that sense of peace, that sense of satisfaction at little moments throughout your day. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is look at your strengths. So our strengths can be really helpful in difficult situations because these are the things that make you who you are without you even having to try. So what I want you to do is take a look at this list, maybe get a pen and paper in front of you and go through it and write down each of the strengths that you see here that you identify in yourself. And the main goal of this is so that when we are in stressful situations or frustrating situations, we can come back and fall back on our strengths, those things that make us who we are, to be able to get a new perspective on the situation in front of us. So for example, one of my biggest strengths is gratitude or gratefulness. So when I'm finding myself frustrated or stressed or tired, I can usually find something to be grateful for in the situation. So that active moment of thinking about, okay, the situation in front of me isn't making me the happiest, but what about it can I be grateful for? And then if I really can't find anything in that situation, I can usually think about something else that's going on in my life that I can be grateful for. And that active moment can really help me shift to a better headspace. So go ahead and take a minute. You can pause this video and write down some of the strengths that you find in yourself. Okay, so now that you have your strengths written down in front of you, I want you to keep coming back to those and start to think about how you may be able to use them to find new perspectives in your situations. So this is the bulk of what we're going to be doing today. This is the emotional guidance scale. So this is a tool that we can use every day at home. You could take a picture of it and keep it on your phone. I also think we've emailed a copy to you as well. And if you were at any of the sessions, you'll have a physical copy in front of you to take home as well. So when you look at the emotional guidance scale, on the left side of the screen, we have our red emotions. These are our energy depleting emotions, those ones that really weigh you down and don't allow you to be your best self. So these are things like frustration, anxiety, discouragement. And then on the right side, we have the green emotions. These are our energy renewing emotions. These are the ones that allow you to be in a really good mindset and allow you to handle situations really well. And when we're looking at this emotional guidance scale, this whole thing is a continuum. And we don't like to think about it as bad or good or negative or positive because it's human to have all of these emotions. The research actually shows that us as humans, we default to the red zone. That's how we are without even trying. And so we have to actively shift ourselves more into the green area multiple times throughout the day in order to keep ourselves from sitting for too long in that red zone. So I'll go through a couple ways today on how we can shift ourselves into the green area. Okay, so this is what we call the power to choose. Dr. DeBusk is one of the developers of the Path2Green program, and she says humans have a negativity bias and we tend to default to the red zone with no skill building required. We don't need to train our minds to get upset at a perceived slight. That comes readily. We need to train to see the perception for what it is and choose to react in a more skillful way. These skills do not just happen. They require training. Just like training for a new sport or any other new skill, we must learn the skill, practice until we become proficient. Since it only takes micro choices throughout our busy day, sustaining skills is possible. We have the power to choose moment by moment who and how we want to be in the world. So again, this is saying a lot of what we talked about on the last slide. It's not that we're choosing to simply be happy, but it's that we have the power inside us to notice when we're having moments in that red zone. Notice when we're having moments of those energy depleting feelings. And we can actively choose to shift ourselves into a better mindset so that we can react in a better way in situations. So we also have the power of emotional resilience, and this relates to the concept of coherence, which is basically a state where our mind is in sync with our heart rate and our breathing and the rest of our body. This allows us to perform at an optimal level, allows us to have a clear mind and make good decisions. So when you're looking at heart rate variability, that's what you see on these two graphs. It's normal for our heart rate to increase and decrease throughout the day. But a healthy increase and decrease looks like the green graph that you see over on the right, where it's a very smooth transition. When we're in a state of incoherence, where our mind is not in sync with our body and we're just feeling unsettled, we get this very jagged looking variability in our heart rate. So these two graphs here, the one on the left, the red one, was taken when a husband was arguing with his wife. So he had a device that was monitoring his heart rate. Very jagged, a little bit all over the place. Now, during this argument, he took a minute to remove himself from the situation and do a quick, 1 minute or so breathing exercise, and then come back to the situation. So after he took that moment for himself and he reflected, he did a breathing exercise, we now have this graph on the right, the green, where he's in a state of coherence. So even though he's still having this discussion with his wife, he's reset himself and he can now think a little bit clearer, and his mind, body, heart, and breathing are all in sync so that he can be his best self in this discussion. So this relates to emotional resilience, because the more times we're able to get ourselves into that state of coherence, we're able to become resilient the next time. Meaning that if we do this in a couple small situations, the next time we face a similar situation, we're going to be able to reach that state of coherence a little bit easier and a little bit more naturally. And then as we keep continuing to practice, even the bigger situations in our lives will be able to respond and react in a good, healthy way within that state of coherence, just because we've been practicing and we're becoming more resilient. Now, I also want to note that you have the permission to be human. It's normal for humans to move between the incoherent and the coherent states throughout our day. So really what this program wants to do is encourage you to acknowledge where you are in your state on the emotional guidance scale. And then remember that you have the capacity to choose a better feeling, thought, or choice. Okay, now this is the power to shift and activate. So this is the real bulk of what I want to teach you today. This is using the emotional guidance scale, and we have 4 steps. So the first step is purposeful attention. So this is just noticing where you are in a moment. This is where your emotional guidance scale comes in, where you can think about a situation, or you can notice yourself in a situation where you may feel stressed or frustrated, and you can pause for a minute and say, okay, something's bothering me, let's figure out what it is. You'll go to the emotional guidance scale and identify one place on the scale. You may feel a bunch of them, but what you really want to do is focus in on one. So you'll pick, maybe you feel at this moment overwhelmed. Then your second step is releasing resistance. So this is letting go of an emotion that is depleting your energy. Meaning that, okay, I acknowledge I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I would like to let this go because I want to feel a little bit better so that I can react well in this situation. The third step is prioritizing positivity, reaching for a better feeling thought or choice. This is where you're actively doing something to shift yourself into the green. So today I'll be guiding you through a breathing exercise to see if that can help you shift. Just take a minute for yourself. But breathing exercises may not always be the thing that works for everyone. So this may be where you fall back on your strengths and you go back and look at some of those things that make you who you are, and you see if any of them now give you a different perspective on a situation. For example, you may now have more empathy for your loved one in a situation, or you may be able to find humor in the situation, or you may be able to find something that you're grateful for. You also may just need to call a friend or look out a window, or just take a minute to go to the bathroom or get a glass of water, do a couple stretches. You're going to be able to find what it is that works for you within this prioritizing positivity state. But we're going to teach you a breathing exercise just because it's quick and easy and it can be done anywhere, and it can be done, without any guidance. And then lastly, you're going to savor positivity. That means letting the good experience in and really savoring it. So once you do your state, your active thing that you're doing to shift into a green, now that you've gotten there, maybe you were feeling overwhelmed and now you feel a little bit more optimistic. You're in that green state. That moment of taking a minute to say, wow, I just did that for myself. I appreciate that I went through that effort and now I feel really good. I feel great and I'm able to respond better in this situation. That moment of savoring, the research shows, is really what solidifies those connections in your brain. Meaning that the next time that something like this happens, that connection in your brain is there that tells you, okay, we've done this before. We know how to handle this situation. Let's shift into a better space and let's, do whatever it is that we need to do to handle the situation. So that savoring positivity is really important as that fourth step. Okay, so we are going to practice now. What I want you to do is think about a small situation that happened within the past day or so, something that was a minor inconvenience. It was, a little bit frustrating or made you a little bit irritated, but nothing really big. We're not thinking of a hospitalization or, a major argument with a loved one. We're thinking about smaller things that, maybe don't need big responses, but still weigh on you a little bit. So some examples that were used in the group in June were if your loved one is repeating the same question kind of over and over again, and that can, make you feel a little bit irritable. Other ones were that their loved one was not able to use a seatbelt anymore, so they had to go in and help them use a seatbelt. A simple thing that we don't think about, but is now a big stressor for them. Other ones are that your loved one is maybe snapping at you a little bit more or isn't appreciating the things that you're doing for them. Try to think of something small that is manageable. And then once you think of your scenario, go back, go back to the emotional guidance scale and place where you are. Again, I want you to think of one scenario and I want you to only place yourself on one of these emotions, even though you probably feel multiple at a time. So I'll give you a minute. You can go ahead and pause this video. Okay, now that you have your scenario and your emotion, now I'm going to guide you through a breathing exercise. This is heart-focused breathing, which is one of the most heavily researched breathing techniques in its ability to get you to a place of peace or calm. So you can have your eyes open or closed. I just want you to get comfortable in your seat or wherever you are right now, and just take a minute to yourself and I'll guide you through this exercise. So close your eyes if it feels comfortable to you, and notice what you're feeling in your body. Scan your face, your shoulders, your heart. Just noticing. Focus your attention in the area of your heart. Perhaps even feeling the beating of your heart. From the front side, the back side, the right side, and the left side. Imagine your breath flowing directly through your heart. Breathing in through your heart and breathing out through your heart. Slowing and deepening your breath. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3. Keep breathing at whatever pace works for you, slower and deeper than your regular breath. All while imagining your breath entering and exiting the area of your heart. Keep breathing in through your heart, out through your heart. Begin to notice again what you're feeling in your body. Scan your face, your forehead, and your jaw, your shoulders. Coming back to the area of your heart, just noticing. And when you're ready, taking all the time you need, opening your eyes and coming back to the present moment. Okay, so now that we have finished that breathing exercise, I want you to go back to the emotional guidance scale and see where you are now. Now, you may have been at resentful before, and you may not be able to shift all the way to joy or love. But what you may be able to do is shift to pessimism or a negative outlook. So you may be in the red, but because it's a continuum, you're a little bit closer to the green. So even if you weren't able to jump to the green from the breathing exercise, you may be able to then take it one step further and do one other thing that'll help you shift a little bit closer to the green or even into the green next time. And even just a little bit shift, even if you're staying right there on the edge of the red, it's still a jump and it's still in a better place than you were before. So take a minute, find where you were or find where you are now when you think about the scenario, and think about if you have a new perspective on the scenario as well. You may have even used one of your strengths to think about it in a different way without even noticing that you were doing it. So you can go ahead and pause the video and note where you are now. Okay, so I hope that you were able to find some sort of shift and that you feel a little bit better. Don't forget that fourth step of savoring that good moment, that positive emotion. So take a minute and just appreciate yourself for taking this time for yourself and acknowledge that better feeling that you're feeling now. Okay, so that's all I have for you for this session. I hope this was helpful for you and that you're able to learn a couple tools or a couple tricks that you can do at home. What I'd love for you to do is take the emotional guidance scale, that either the one that's on here, you could take a picture of it, or the one that we'll send you in the email, and try to use this at home just once within the next week before our next session. Just whenever you're feeling yourself in a stressful or a frustrating situation, try your best to reset and shift and activate to that green set of emotions. So our next session will be next week in July, and we will be focusing on a little bit of review of what we did before. I'll be teaching you a new breathing exercise, slightly different. Some people like it a little bit more. And then we'll also be walking through micro goals. So these are goals that are personal for you. I'll be walking around to help everyone create goals for themselves that will be used to enhance your overall well-being in different areas of your life, like nutrition, exercise, relationships, sleep, things like this. So thank you again for your attention during this video, and I really hope it's helpful. I hope you're able to use it at least once within the next week. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you at our next session. So thank you so much.